Hello and welcome to another Speed Paint. Today I'll be drawing my OC Daryn. She was my first text RP character that I played online. She's kind of still a grumpy bully, but the original game I played her in was an apocalypse setting, so what she's up to is really not the same as back then. But her backstory is very similar. Her original story was that her father left her mother and her when she was very young. He was a guard and was considered a deserter because of him leaving, giving Daryn's last name a bad connotation in the town that she grew up in. Her mom ended up being a rather spiteful woman and put her to work a lot of the time. Daryn wanted to be an armored guard soldier type. She would have much rather have been playing outside with like toy swords and stuff, but her mom really had her working very hard a lot of the time. She always thought guards were cool, even though, what her dad did could have changed her opinion, but she just always thought they were really cool. Most of this stuff hasn't changed in her new story. It's pretty much the same, but the circumstances of her father leaving are much more significant to an important world event that Daryn doesn't know about. If you were here in the last Speed Paint and Chat, you might remember me talking about the College of Lyric that Garrick goes to. I think I mentioned that Daryn attends as well. She's not aware of any charm that she has, and a charm is just a unique magic power to each person. That is just what they're called. You can have more than one. She's not aware if she has one, and in fact, she doesn't understand most people who do have them. She tends to think that they are a crutch for hard work, even though, that's not true most of the time, but she just has always believed that, especially with how she grew up, she has worked very hard, even though she kinda sucks at what she does. I like to think that the reason that she's not very good is that she never got the chance to really train with swords and armor and stuff because of how her mom treated her. So her going to the College of Lyric now, which she can learn combat strategy and abilities and stuff at this school, and her end goal is also still to become a guard of sorts. She would want to become what is called a platinum guard, which is a special guard for these ice elves in their world. They're kind of in charge of a lot of things because they're very rich. They basically live on a gigantic diamond mine. That is what is called the Diamond Clan. They're just elves that are extremely rich. Most of them have ice powers, but they're very holed away in their own area. They don't allow many people in unless they're marrying in, and they have tons of guards. They sort of own their own kind of peninsula, and that's where the diamond mines are. Basically, they're just very protective of their land and such. And there's a lot of these elves, at least 100. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about Daryn. She just wants to become a guard that protects them, basically. That's not the only thing Platinum Guard do. They can become town guards. It's just that the Platinum Guard are funded by the Diamond Clan. And usually the best of the best are actively, set to guard the entrance to the peninsula. Anyway, so she wants to become one of those. She's attending the College of Lyric to do that. She's there to learn how charms kind of work, and so that she could kind of combat them if she needs to, as a guard. And she would like to learn how to properly wield a sword and all of that. In the story, the idea is, to get into the College of Lyric, you either show a display of power or abilities, which is basically you show off your charm to them, or you write an essay. Those are the two ways to get into the college. Garrick from the last video, despite his charm being active, I'd say he doesn't really want to display his charm because basically he has to get hurt for it to work, and that wouldn't be very fun to display to people. So the idea was, even though Garrick's not a very smart character, that's not his forte, I thought that his mother probably helped him write his essay, and that's how he got in. Daryn failed her first attempt to get into the school because she doesn't really have a charm. Not that she knows of. I know of it, but she doesn't. She doesn't have a charm to display, so she doesn't want to do that. And she's not exactly super smart or anything. She has the potential if she tried, but that's not really her interest. Because her dad was, despite being a soldier type, he was actually very learned. He tried to inspire that when she was really young, but, you grow up and things change. Anyway, her essay is basically a lot of her, I want to be a guard, but some of her opinions of, charms being something of a crutch, they might have snuck in there. Also, she doesn't have anyone to kind of help her write the essay. So basically this essay was a mess. So she didn't get in the first time. The second time, however, she ends up accidentally displaying some potential to one of the school affiliates, and he gives her a good word on getting into the school. That person who gives her a good word is actually a platinum guard who used to know her dad and was there in his little incident that made him go rogue, basically, which is also the reason why this platinum guard is no longer guarding the Diamond Clan, because since he didn't stop Daryn's dad from doing what he was doing, he was also kind of disgraced. So he basically got demoted, and he has kind of been hopping around different platinum guard duties that are just not as high standing as protecting the actual Diamond Clan estate. So that platinum guard, his name is Sagrid. He puts a good word in for her after he sees her display an ability, which is basically her fighting someone with a charm. That whole scene is kind of its own whole thing that I'd have to really get into explaining, but that is also the same scene that Daimi is witnessed. Daimi is another one of my characters. He's with Daryn at the time and is also fighting alongside her against the other people that have charms. Daimi's charm is rather obvious. It's got something to do with ice. And Sagrid, upon observing them, first of all, he notices, Daryn. He probably would have kept up with her family, or at least knowing where they went, because when her dad deserted, her mom ended up picking up and leaving where they used to live for a lot of reasons. Sagrid probably would have kept tabs on what happened with them, just because of how he was involved with things, but not close enough to where it's like, oh, he knows everything that was going on. He just, in order to recognize her, he would have known. He also would have recognized her name upon introducing herself. Upon seeing Daryn, he'd want to keep an eye on her, or at least, put in a good word for her because of what happened with her dad. He does that, and he also does the same thing for Daimi. Daimi actually didn't apply to get into the school. Daimi's childhood best friend did, and Daimi was kind of sad that they were going to be separated now that that character was going to the College of Lyric. Upon Daimi displaying his own charm, which has something to do with ice, and something strange going on with his ice mouse, I would note that Sagrid wouldn't have seen him with the ice mouse just yet. It has its own mind. It's like a familiar. Regardless, Sagrid doesn't see that. All he sees is, there's an elf here. Daimi is half-elf. There's some sort of elf here with ice abilities, and usually those kind of people are related to the Diamond Clan. Daimi doesn't know if he is, and he has never thought about it before. He would never suspect it. Sagrid doesn't really bring that up. He just is like, hey, do you want into the school? I've observed what you can do. I can tell them you are worthy of attending. Because basically he's a guard of the school, and they would trust his word because of who he is ability-wise for this kind of thing. Daimi ends up saying yes. And Daryn, of course, says yes. She's been trying to get into the school. So that's the whole Daryn and Daimi situation. I didn't mean to get into so much about Daimi, but he's, one of my main loved OCs, so Daryn and Daimi are kind of like rivals, sort of. They're friends, they're friendly rivals. They become roommates because of their late entry into the college. Also, Daryn's kind of a bully. Daimi doesn't really respond to her bullying very well. But they do have fun training together. They're very active sort of people, and they like to do, battle training together after, being at the school. About the drawing, now that it's basically getting done. I did a drawing of Daryn, full body, and then I wanted to do a few smaller things next to her to kind of make a character sheet in a way. This whole thing took me about an hour and 45 minutes. The little chibi at the bottom is Daryn eating a croissant because that's her favorite food. Man, there was so much about Daryn that I had wanted to talk about this episode, but like her character inspirations and all that. But I guess I'll have to save that for a different episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Most of it was story stuff for the world that I have for most of my D&D characters. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to do more videos like this. I want to do them weekly, but I don't know if I will be able to. But your encouragement in the last episode was really nice to see, so thank you. I hope you have a great day.